right off the bat, we is gonna get into some spicy hot take territory, so if you're too sensitive for that sort of thing, I suggest clicking off. I mean, most people already click off my videos by now because, you know, they're terrible. Today's topic is car brands that fell off. I had a few ideas already, and some YouTubers have already talked about it, but I think this deserves a more in-depth video. Before embarking on this noble question of which brands fell the offest, I drove an hour to my friend's Cars and Coffee and asked some of his and my other friends what car brands they think fell off.
So the video is about biggest car company fall-offs. Like, which car company fell off the most?
Definitely Mitsubishi. Have you seen how they massacred the Eclipse?
I know.
SUV now.
I know, and they killed the Evo.
Definitely, like all other car companies are still trying to, like, you know, still trying to make good-looking cars, but Mitsubishi absolutely massacred the entire.
Yeah, and I mean the Mirage was kind of cool just for how cheap and economical it was, but like it's manual. I just like terrible cars, can't you tell? Hey, hey dude, I'm filming like a video for the biggest car company fall-offs. Like, which car company you think fell off the most?
Probably gonna be Nissan recently.
Nissan. And I mean, everyone's trying to come back. I know that, like, apparently the R36 GTR is in the works.
I hope so, but
it's gonna be hybrid.
I mean, it's iffy though.
And he says, oh, it's gonna be in the next 3 to 5 years. Bro, Nissan's not even gonna be around in the next 3 to 5 years.
It's gonna die in the next year.
Kalon, I'm gonna make a video soon about like the biggest car company fall off tier lists. So
biggest car company? You're talking about Nissan?
No, fall off tier list. How hard they fell off.
Oh, Nissan?
So you're saying Nissan fell off the most?
Nissan fell the fuck off.
Yeah, so real.
Nissan's the worst.
Okay, so Austin, biggest car company fall off in your opinion?
Biggest one?
Yeah.
It's no contest. It's Mitsubishi, bro. It's gotta be Mitsubishi.
Okay.
Have you seen how they
valid, but I
fucked
don't
up
know.
the Eclipse
Toyota?
SUV?
No, Toyota's like cooking though.
The Supra? What they did to it?
Yeah, I think they're cool. What about the GR Corolla? Come on.
I mean, yeah, the Corolla's fine. I don't know.
I mean-
Because each one has some cool things to it still.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's like, I don't know. Mitsubishi
All right.
is valid.
All right, so Seth, biggest car company fall off, you said?
Nissan's a good one, but I can't say Nissan because you already said it.
I know you are. Yeah, it was.
Buick.
Yeah.
Buick is tough.
Okay, yeah. Buick had cool cars. My dad hates Buicks, by the way.
They don't make anything. They make a fucking SUV.
And they're all made in like China or some shit.
I changed my Chrysler.
Oh yeah.
Chrysler?
Yeah, literally one car. One car.
Was it the Town and Country? They're fucking
No, it's the Voyager Pacifica. I don't remember the fuck it's called.
Pacifica.
Yeah, Pacifica.
The minivan.
Yeah.
They have nothing.
Yeah, my dad probably wouldn't want to hear that because he's got 300C. Like,
They used to be cool.
yeah, it used to be cool. That was like the last. Probably gonna be the last cool Chrysler before they fucking die.
Now they have one. Car.
Okay, to be fair, similar statements to me, as you'll see later. But look at our taste in cars. We'd all say some form of GDM weeaboo shit. So, enough messing around. Let's get right to the tier list. Okay, here we are in a shitty thing I made in Adobe Illustrator, the thing I used to make my garbage thumbnails with. Although, I'm switching to GIMP. Well, trying to learn how to use GIMP to make thumbnails, and it's still like MS Paint tier stuff, but that's beside the point. Right here we have our tier list. All the tiers are pretty self-explanatory. S being like the biggest fall off, and D being like, not super cool, but they're doing all right. And then there's hasn't fallen off here, and there's some brands here, as you can see, there's a lot of them. I didn't want to include all of them, since I could just be pedantic and act like an old man yelling at clouds and go, all car brands fell off, modern cars all suck, bleh. But that would just be stupid and the video would be like 5 hours long, so I just narrowed it down to these brands. Some you saw initially, some you may not really realize, some you may be surprised with. And one of the rules I set up for this whole video was no dead brands, so no, because it doesn't really make sense for me to say a brand fell off if it doesn't even exist anymore, so no sob. So, but on the topic of Swedes, let's start with Volvo. Alright, Volvo, a brand that I hold pretty close to my heart since, you know, I have one, and I will say, yeah, they've definitely fallen off, especially since a lot of them are built in China now, and a lot of them are just, well, I don't know. I mean, I've heard they're decently comfortable. I've heard that they have build quality problems, especially electrical problems, the modern ones. And on top of that, Volvo just doesn't make any, like, anything cool anymore. I mean, back in the day, you had the, you know, the 850R, the V70 T5, the V70R, S60R, C30, the friggin' V8 powered S80. Come on, now the only two cool Volvos I can think of are the V60 and the V90, solely for the virtue of them being wagons in a world of SUVs. And I mean, the V90 is a slept-on car. I mean, it looks so good on bags, like you wouldn't even believe. I saw this really good one of like one with a wide body. Absolute cinema. So we'll say Volvo. We'll put Volvo in C tier. No, B tier. We'll put it in B tier. I mean, and mind you, this is going to be all from an enthusiast perspective. So some of these brands to non-car people are doing great right now. You know, they make nice little safe, sedate little cars. But, you know, to enthusiasts like us, they don't make anything cool anymore. Alright, so how about Ford? You know what Ford stands for, right? It stands for Fix It Again, Tony.
You're thinking of a Fiat, Dale.
Fix it again.
Now, I will say that Ford, they do make some interesting cars, and I mean, the Mustang GTD is just insane. Oh my God. But, they just weren't as cool. They're not as cool as they were 10 years ago, if you ask me. Because 10 years ago, you could walk into a Ford dealer and get a muscle car, a full-size sleeper sedan, so, you know, the Mustang, the Taurus SHO, a friggin' hot hatch, well, two hot hatches, the Focus ST and Fiesta ST, along with the super-duper cool Focus RS, and if you had stupid money, a friggin' Ford GT supercar. If you want to go off-roading, get a friggin', I mean, not off-roading, if you want to show everyone you have a small wiener and make loud V8 noises, you get a Ford Raptor. But now, the only, and I will say though, the Bronco is definitely one of the coolest SUVs in my opinion. So we'll put Ford in D tier. Now, on the topic of SUVs, let's start with Jeep. Oh, Jeep, what the hell happened to you? Jeep used to be good, but now they're just so overpriced and unreliable, and nobody takes them off-road except my cousin. Godspeed to him. I mean, they used to be cool. Like, the XJ Cherokee is one of my favorite SUVs of all time. I love them. I think they're cool as shit. And there's no real modern equivalent to an XJ, which is, you know, a unibody SUV that can actually go in the dirt. The closest thing I would say would, I guess, be the Ford Bronco Sport, but even then, it's just not as capable as an XJ. And like I said, the prices are just insane. Like, my aunt traded in her old JK Wrangler for a new, whatever it was called, 4xe Wrangler, and it's like $50,000 with the trade-in, which I just find insane. Like, for $50,000, I could buy a friggin' R32 GTR, or like 2 Evos, or something like cool like that. Or like, you know, if you want to be boring and practical, maybe like a nice used Lexus or something. Jeez. Ugh. So I will definitely put Jeep in C tier. Okay. Buick. Now, I think you might ask, why would you put a brand in your fall off video when, you know, nobody talks about Buick? I mean, was Buick ever cool? Kinda. I can count on like one hand how many cool Buicks there were. Okay, so there was, I guess, the GSX in the 60s. Riata, Grand National. Oh yes, the almighty Buick Roadmaster with fake wood. Oh my god, I love it. I don't even know. The only reason why GM even keeps Buick around is for the Chinese, and the American market for Buick is just a freaking afterthought, which is a shame, because I will say some of the Chinese Buicks do look pretty sharp, but it's just not savable, and I don't know why GM just doesn't axe Buick already from the American market. But then again, GMC Buick dealers wouldn't be able to sell anything besides GMC. So We'll put Buick in B tier. B for Buick. Now, one of my friends, and as you saw, said Toyota, or maybe I didn't get footage of it, I don't remember. But he thinks Toyota fell off, but his reasoning was kind of odd, because if I'm honest, if I made this video 10 years ago, I would say, yeah, Toyota fell off, because they don't make anything cool anymore. But honestly, Toyota is cooking, and they're getting back on their feet in terms of developing their own sports car platforms after getting help with the BRZ and the Supra. I'm really excited to see what they do next. They're clearly committed to combustion and enthusiasty cars. GR Corolla is peak. The BRZ I like, because in the very least the BRZ 86 twins are purely Japanese. So I will put Toyota in hasn't fallen off, and they're getting back up, especially if the rumors of a new MR2 in Celica are true, especially the MR2. Okay, now, should we stick with Japanese brands? Sure, let's just get Nissan out of the way. It's kind of the elephant in the room. As you saw, everybody said it, and I will agree with them. Nissan was amazing in the 90s, even though they were, like, losing money on pretty much every car they sold, surprisingly. Their new CEO looks interesting, but I'll believe it when I see it, when he says he's going to do all these great things and save the brand. I think, does it need to be said, poor quality, dog shit CVTs, the GTR is dead, the Z is overpriced and is kind of meh on performance, and all these talks that Nissan's going to be dead within a year or something, and the failed merger with Honda. Firm S tier for Nissan. What's going on with you? You guys made my dream car. And you can help me get my dream car by subscribing. So that way someday the channel can be big enough to be monetized or something. Though, probably not, since I fucking swear like a fucking sailor. Can't you fucking tell? Alright, Fiat. We know what Fiat stands for. It stands for found on the road dead. Fiat really isn't in the consciousness of most American car buyers, aside from like, oh, it's a girly Barbie car. But Fiat, I do think has made cool cars. Spider 2000, Barchetta, that we didn't get in America though. And also all their cars were turned into Ladas in the Soviet Union or something, which is a whole nother can of worms. But I love the Fiat 500 Abarth. It's definitely on the list of I would daily drive that, because I have been told that they can be reliable if you maintain them enough, although we all know a lot of times a car enthusiast cope. Then there's the good old Fiata, which is basically a Miata with spaghetti sauce on top. Or I should say a marinara Miata. Or Miata with marinara, whatever you want to call it. And I do think it's cool because it has more power. And I will say slightly better looks than an ND Miata, or just as good looks, along with a nicer interior. But now the only car Fiat sells is the 500e, which is overpriced, has low range, and limited appeal in a world of giant SUV free indices. You know, so I don't know how long Fiat has left for. And as you can tell, it's later on, we will be able to see its brothers and sisters in Stellantis are not doing well, so I would put Fiat probably in A tier. Volkswagen. Okay, so VW decided for whatever reason to axe the stick shift on the Golf R and GTI. For whatever reason. They had done it in Europe already, and surprisingly, America was the only market, I believe, that got a stick shift GTI for the Mark 8, at least up until 2023 or 2024. And I think they're citing due to emissions, or noise regulations, since stick shifts are harder to regulate for noise, because obviously I don't know, it's a bunch of stuff I can't really get into. But basically, when you're in an automatic, you can the automatic can automatically shift into a lower gear, so the engine isn't spinning up as much, lower RPMs, less noise, comply with boring noise regulations. But their only cool car left now, I guess, is the Jetta GLI. I do think the Golf GTI and Golf R are cool-ish. But VW was awesome in the 2000s. You know, they just snorted big, fat German lines of cocaine and said, "What if we stuffed a W12 in a luxury sedan, yeah? Let us make a weird V6 inline thing, yeah? Let us put a V10 diesel in a family SUV, yeah? Let us make the world's fastest car, yeah? Let us make the world's most efficient car, yeah?" And then it just all came tumbling down with Dieselgate. Recently, I've had to borrow my dad's Mark 7 Golf wagon diesel, and I will say that is a great car, especially as like a daily driver. It gets like 40 miles a gallon all day, even if you drive like a maniac like I do. So I will say Volkswagen definitely fell off firm C tier, because they are all going crazy on electric, because they want you to forget that Dieselgate happened. I mean, they also want you to forget what they were doing between 1939 and 1945, but that's beside the point. Okay, let's move on to another car company from a former Axis power. Mitsubishi. Do I really need to say it? The Evo's been dead for almost 10 years. The Eclipse is a crossover abomination of nature. They just aren't trying. Mitsubishi just isn't trying. They're like... I wouldn't say Mitsubishi is like someone with depression where they just don't have any motivation to make things. Or like... Okay, no, they're like me. They're not motivated to make much of anything, unfortunately. I don't know. But, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. S tier. Fall off. Right up there with Nissan. Maserati. Oh, yeah. Now, to a lot of people don't realize Maserati was once one of the greats. It went toe-to-toe with Porsche, Ferrari, Jag. It was an amazing brand that made great supercars, great everything, but then as time went on, quality problems happened. They were owned by friggin' De Tomaso for some reason, and they were bought out by Fiat. But I will say they are getting back into the groove and trying to shed the reputation of dentist cars that depreciate like a rock 5 seconds after they drive off the lot, because although I've heard the MC20 supercar isn't doing well, but I will commend them. It's been, I think it was mostly a Maserati deal, as their last supercar, the MC20, was a collaboration with Ferrari to make it was based off the Enzo, I believe. MC20, beautiful. GT2 Stradale, beautiful. And the fact that a lot of their cars you could get with Ferrari engines was pretty cool, but now most of their cool fire-breathing V8 vehicles are replaced with V6s. Also, they make this abomination of nature called the Grecale. Or, I'm sorry, Grecale. But, honestly, if they cook and Stellantis doesn't axe them, I say there's potential Maserati could make a comeback, so I will put their fall off for now in C tier. And on to one of their other Italian Stellantis stablemates, Alfa Romeo. Another car brand I hold near and dear to my heart, as kind of one of the canon events that got me into cars was my dad's 1986 Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce. And I still remember as a kid sitting on the parcel shelf instead of the back seat and being worried I was going to fly out the back because I was afraid. And also, my autistic ass didn't like the friggin' loud wind noise. And also, the wind was blowing around my Berenstain Bears book. But Alpha is just falling behind so much. They only sell 2 cars. No, three. They sell 3 cars. They sell the Giulia Sport Sedan, the Stelvio SUV, and the Toenail. Oh, I'm sorry, Tonale. Yeah, I can't see it, but I'm making an Italian hand sign right now. The Tonale. This was really weird. I remember about the Tonale. They were trying to sell it with an NFT when it was first revealed. They said, oh yeah, when you buy this car, you get an NFT of your car. And I think it was supposed to be a means of tracking service or something else, or you'd sell the car in the NFT, because this was when NFTs were really big in 2022, but now all those tech bro types have gravitated from NFTs to AI. But yeah, their cars are falling behind in terms of quality, in terms of like being able to compete with their German rivals, and of course the infamous Alpha unreliability. In the 4C, in my opinion, is going to be like the last great Alfa Romeo, aside from the 33 Stradale supercar that they're producing. But when are you ever going to see those? They're all going to get shipped off to Dubai. Or if you're like me, I'll only see them like once in a blue moon at some rich asshole's car meet down on the Gulf, not on the Gulf Coast, the Gold Coast of Connecticut. But yeah, if they, there was rumors that the Fiat Abarth Spider was originally going to be an Alfa Romeo, but Fiat snapped it up and decided to make their own thing. I would say probably, no, not A tier, probably more like B tier. Not A tier, we're not going along with Alphabet. things. MG. If you ask any old boomer, they love MGs. MGBs, MGAs, MG this, MG that. Brands that died off before my time. But I do think they're cool, especially the MGB GT. It's like a little baby Aston Martin DB5. And I do know a guy that does have an MGB, and he says they're basically Miatas without the TikTok tax and way worse electrical problems. Although he says it's not because they were all wired in a Shropshire barn by chaps that look like me, or guys that all look like they should be making weird music. But it was just because apparently, the grounds just weren't well made. But little do you know, MG is still alive. They were purchased by some Chinese company, I don't remember who, in like the late 2000s, because the MG brand kind of soldiered on in Britain as like a sort of performance mark for Rover's cars for a while. Like the MG ZR and MG Streetwise. And we're getting real obscure here for us, for my American viewers. But now MG, all they make is like electric crossovers. They still technically have a factory in Britain, but it's very clear all their cars are not designed in Britain anymore. They're designed in China. They're making an electric sports car to harken back to the good old days, but it's electric. Blech. Honestly, MG isn't even the same company anymore. Like, it's a Chinese company wearing a British coat. So, I would say hasn't fallen off, because no, S tier. Even though they're not the same company, it doesn't excuse them. Although, from what I've heard from people and from what I've seen, and like, because when I went on a trip to Iceland, I saw a few MG cars there, and from what I've been told, they suck. So I guess the Chinese are continuing with MG's legacy of quality problems. All right, on to our other British brand, Jag, or Jaguar. Now, Jaguar is, oh my god, it is just so sad to see what's happened to them, because just like Maserati, they used to be one of the great, things, one of the great car makers of Europe, going along with Ferrari, Porsche, all those guys, to now making one car in Europe, selling no cars basically anywhere else, and trying to do a radical rebrand with friggin' weird dancers that for some reason are piss off a bunch of right-wingers calling it woke. When in reality, I think it's just run by a bunch of brain-dead execs that don't know what the Jag brand is meant to be. Like, it's not even just the fact that they're going to make electric cars. It's not that. It's more about the fact that the ad itself is so generic. Like, if you just took out the Jaguar cars, if you took the cars out of the ad, and you told me this was an ad for a company called Jaguar Fashion, or Jaguar Perfume, or Jaguar Construction, or Jaguar Financial, or Jaguar Technology, the logo is so generic and boring, you can just slap something else next to it, and it becomes a completely different company. I don't even know how or why Jaguar even exists, and honestly, it is so sad to see them just suffer like this. So, S tier. So tired. It's like 11 at night. Audi. I will say the just like Volkswagen, they're going real deep on electric stuff. Surprisingly, even though the studies have shown that people aren't buying electric cars at the rate people thought we'd be buying them. Everyone was saying that, by now we'd all be driving electric cars 10 years ago. That's what they said. 2025, we're all gonna be driving electric cars. Nope. The R8's dead, so no more cool V10s. I guess some of their S cars are pretty cool, but Audi has always been a brand that never really did anything for me, but I do say I do like the RS3 and the TT. Oh yeah, the TT's also dead. That's right. Now the RS3 is the last car you can get with a 5-cylinder. So, as a 5-cylinder enjoyer myself, that is really sad. I don't know, due to how low my feelings are. Audi C tier. Chrysler. Do I need to say it? Just like Jaguar, they're only selling one car, trying to attempt a slightly less radical rebrand. I was at the New York Auto Show, and for whatever reason, they showed off a new logo both on screen and on one of their concept cars called the Halcyon, which I do admit looks pretty sharp, but I know that they're never going to build it. But, you know, they're trying to be all minimalist. Stupid. Chrysler, for a time, was, like, a very, very experimental company back in the day. I don't really want to get too much deep in their history. And for a while, in, like, the 2000s, they weren't doing terribly for themselves. I mean, they had the friggin' PT Cruiser, which, while ugly, sold a lot and made 4-year-old me very interested in cars. Because when I was a kid, I loved PT Cruisers. There was a 300, which along with the Cadillac Escalade was every gangster rapper guy's car in the 2000s, and now is every broke SoundCloud rapper's car. And I mean, Stellantis, I remember they put out some kind of internal thing that said that, oh, if certain brands don't meet certain targets by X year, we're gonna kill them. So what's to say Chrysler might not be gone by next year, or they'll be gone by the end of this decade. So I will say S tier. Lotus. Oh, one of my favorite British car companies, Lotus. Makers of lightweight, agile little things. Now reduced to kind of be not generic supercars, but like I will say their designs have gotten to be a little boring. And the Electre. Ugh. A crossover. Electric crossover. What's so simplified and add lightness about a crossover? It doesn't even look British. It looks Chinese. You can clearly tell that Geely, the people who bought them, the people who also own Volvo, by the way, are just really messing with them. Unlike them, Volvo, which I've been told Geely is relatively hands-off with. So, but I will say the Emira is cool in terms of performance. Nowhere as cool as the Evora. I've heard rumors it might get a V8 apparently, since they're having trouble getting the V6 engine from Toyota to pass emissions. And I will say their electric supercar is very crazy for being a crazy electric hypercar monster, and it's light by electric car standards, so I'll give it that. Although 3,000 pounds though, that's like what, 2 Miatas glued together? Or it's about as much as the Volvo. My Volvo, I mean. So I'll put Lotus in A tier. Caterham or Caterham, if you're fancy a British, if you're trying to say like a true Brit, is definitely holding closer to the Colin Chapman ethos than Lotus themselves, who, you know, originally sold the rights to Caterham. Now, Honda. Now, if you went to my buddy Invader, C35, or Invader Style on YouTube if you'd rather, he'd say Honda was never good, but obviously we know that's bullshit. You know, the friggin', I'm a little upset that, you know, NSX is dead, the Accord and Civic Coupe are dead, because the Accord Coupe with the V6 and a stick, honestly, really cool sleeper car. I was close to getting one, actually. But, yeah. And who could forget all the cool stuff they made in the 90s, obviously. I'm a little mad that the Prelude, that they're bringing back the Prelude, but no manual transmission. I mean, I'm okay that it's a hybrid. The Prelude was always Honda's kind of testing ground for new tech, such as four-wheel steering and a bunch of other things back in the day. But Honda has shown they can do manual hybrids. Look at the Insight, look at the CRZ. Come on, Honda. You could have made another manual hybrid, but you didn't. I just hope to God they don't fuck up bringing back an S2000 the same way they're doing with the Prelude. But I will say, Civic Type R, baller. Although FK8 was better. So I'll put Honda probably in D tier. Mercedes. Oh boy, I'm gonna make all the Albanians mad about this one. Mercedes used to be really reliable back in the day, like in the 90s. Cause then again, those are the cars all the Albanians like, are like the old W123, W124. And those cars, I love them. Just indestructible bricks. You know, obviously, you know, making all sorts of other great things. And for a time, you know, Mercedes was the standard of the world. They would put everything in their power to make the greatest car imaginable. But now it feels like it's a bunch of electric nonsense, you know, getting rid of the V8 in their AMG cars. I could have sworn I heard something that the AMG is getting, like, the C63 is getting a V8 again. And on top of that, Mercedes just gave up on naming conventions for their AMG cars, because for a time I think like the E60 obviously meant 6-liter, but now the C63 doesn't mean 6.3 liter V8 anymore. It just means something. I don't know. But yeah, I'd say Mercedes C, no, B tier. No, C tier. Chevrolet. It's official. Chevrolet has no more manual transmission cars anymore. Oh, this is such a shame. The Camaro is now dead. I'm just surprised, and obviously Chevrolet, they fumbled bringing back the Blazer. It's now just a boring crossover instead of a proper Bronco or Wrangler fighter. They don't have like a cool Ford Raptor competitor. Their only cool car is the Corvette now, the C8, which is honestly batshit insane in terms of the fact that you can blow the doors off supercars and hypercars in a car that's like a tenth the price. And honestly, sometimes I've wondered if I ever got like YouTube famous, should I just, or get money, should I just buy a C8 instead of my dream car, just another Corvette, generation of Corvette, like a C5 or C6, just because they're faster than everything else, and they're cheaper. But yeah, I don't like the fact the C8 is auto-tragic. I've heard rumors that either the C9 or some new variant of the C8 will get a stick shift, but we'll see what happens there. I'll put Chevrolet probably in A tier. Man, now I'm thinking of like all the cool shit they did in the 90s too, like Ford. I mean, Ford had the friggin' Lightning, they had everything. Anyway, I'm getting off track. We already talked about Ford. Let's talk about Cadillac. Ooh yeah, Cadillac. The standard of the world for a time. Maker of some of the most beautiful cars from like the 50s, if I'm honest. And I will admit, the Eldorado of land barges from the 70s and all their other land barge cars do have their unique charm. And I will say, this is interesting. Cadillac was the first car company with an automatic transmission, but now they're the last car maker in the GM family to sell a stick shift car. The CT5 and CT4 Blackwings. Both can be had with a 6-speed manual, and they'll likely be their last. And I will say the Escalade V, mwah, chef's kiss. Lyric, also a very interesting and unique looking electric car. Their electric cars are definitely very unique. And also the return to Formula 1. They are definitely getting back up there, but they still have never regained the standard of the world moniker that they had from back in the day. So I'll say C tier fall off. C for Cadillac. BMW. Oh boy, I'm going to piss off the Burble Brigade with this one as well. Honestly though, BMW hasn't fallen off that much. I mean, obviously people like to shit on the M3 and M4 for looking ugly, and I will say, yeah, they look like friggin' Bugs Bunny. It's like they'll drive up to you and go, what's up, Doc? Or something like that. And of course, everyone making fun of the M5 with how heavy it is. I will say though, I actually think the M2 looks awesome. I think it looks sexy as hell. And if I'm honest, I know this is weird, but it looks like it looks like an E46 with modern styling. I know that sounds weird, but it looks like what if BMW just took an E46 and put a modern body kit on it? And I'm pretty sure when everything's electric and we're all living in pods and eating bugs and being forced to not drive at all, we're going to look back and go, damn, on this era of BMW and go, damn. Remember when BMW made cool cars? But, I mean, they're definitely not as cool as they were in the 2000s, because just like Volkswagen, they were also doing big fat lines of German cocaine and going, let us put a 500 horsepower V10 in our family sedan, yeah? Yeah, let's go crazy! So I'll say probably D tier. No B tier for BMW, we already did that with Buick. Now for BMW's other brand you didn't know they owned. Mini, which was their excuse to make front-wheel drive BMWs. Mini is kind of in an identity crisis at the moment. They're not selling well, because obviously Mini, why would you sell Mini cars in the land of giant SUV freedom machines? Of course, all their cars are no longer stick shift anymore, which is a shame, because Minis, I've seen a lot of people track Minis. They say they're great in terms of handling and just being fun and sporty, although reliability, not the best. Because, you know, combine British with German engineering, and what do you get? And just the fact Mini, the wave of nostalgia, and oh, it's so cute that Mini rode for the 2000s and most of the 2010s has firmly fallen off and just gone away. So the future of Mini is uncertain. And I will say, and honestly, some of their cars aren't even so Mini anymore. So I'll say probably B tier fall off. Subaru stopped being cool the minute my mom started buying them. Because my mom has had 4 Subaru Crosstreks, and admittedly, the first 2 were cool because they were stick shifts. But she replaced the first Crosstrek she got as a replacement for her awesome, as the car I grew up in, Saab 9.3 wagon with the turbo V6 and a 6-speed. Absolutely amazing car that I'm still surprised I even had the privilege of growing up with. But now, obviously, no more STI. Subaru isn't really even trying with the BRZ at the moment. And they've gone from marketing to, you know, dumbass 20-somethings and teenagers and vape dudes like me, except I don't vape, and are now trying to market themselves to dog moms. The Outback has lost every single semblance of wagon DNA that it had and has gone full family SUV. I mean, the WRX, I'm pretty sure this generation WRX might be the last. I hate to say it. And unfortunately, it just isn't competitive in its segment. Because, you know, cars like the GR Corolla have it beat. Elantra N is pretty tough competition. And I'm just like, geez. Ugh. On top of the obvious, you know, head gasket go burr. So I'll put Subaru in A tier. Hyundai. A lot of people would ask, was Hyundai ever good? I mean, obviously, you know, it had a very hard time getting established here in its early days and being known for cheap, poor quality cars. And I mean, there's still some quality problems reported on Hyundais, but Hyundais aren't a bad car if you're a normie. Just buy it and trade it in the minute the warranty's about to expire, because, you know, America's best warranty. And I will say, Hyundai has definitely gotten better at making cool enthusiast cars. Genesis Coupe, awesome car. Elantra N, honestly one of my favorite modern cars on sale today, solely for the fact that you can get it with a factory burble mode. Like, it just makes little pops and bangs when you put it into N mode. It's just such a goofy thing. Hyundai Ioniq 5, one of the only cool EVs I can think of, let alone crossover EVs, although I don't like calling it a crossover. I more or less see the Ioniq 5 as a hot hatch that Hyundai just calls a crossover to sell to normies. Santa Cruz is definitely funky, and I will say Hyundai's styling has definitely been getting more and more unique and interesting, and we're one of the first car makers to really jump on the 80s and 90s retro styling cues we're slowly starting to see crop up in cars. I will say, yeah, they're... And also, what car maker releases friggin' Eurobeat compilations? So, I'll put Hyundai in... Actually, hasn't fallen off. They've come back. They've cooked. Alright, so, Suzuki. I mean, is it fair, though? Because this is kind of half breaking my rule of no, you know, dead brands in the US, even though Suzuki is well and alive in other markets, such as Europe. Because I remember I went to Iceland, and I saw the modern Suzuki Jimny there, and I just begged my mom, please, Mom, let's rent a Jimny. That's going to be awesome. But instead, we rented a Jeep Compass. Blech. Honestly, I'm pretty sure if Suzuki came back to the US market, they'd do decently well. They have a decent size range of SUVs and the Jimny. Off-road people would go nuts for the Jimny because it's a cheap and cheerful off-roader that isn't a zillion dollars like a Wrangler or a Bronco. You also have like a hot hatch in the form of the Swift Sport and Swift Booster Jet. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to own a car with the name Booster Jet? And of course, in Japan, they had the friggin' Alto Works, which was, you know, one of the only performance K cars of the 2010s at the time. But obviously, we'd never get that, and we'll never get that until 2040 something, because, you know, K cars sold out here, except me. I have a K car. That's one of the reasons why I even added it here, because, you know, I wanted to include a brand of a car that I have, my beloved Suzuki Wagon-R. So I'll put Suzuki's fall off in D tier. Now, our last two, Dodge and Mazda. Let's go with Mazda, since I like them more than Dodge. Now, obviously, you'd say, has Mazda fallen off? I mean, they only have two cars that I think are cool. The 3, it's a stick shift and light and fun. And, of course, the Miata. But if I'm honest, I don't know how long... no, the Miata's probably going to be fine. I've heard the next-gen Miata that's in production will still be internal combustion. I don't know if it'll be a hybrid or not, because I swear to God, if it's a hybrid, I'd lose my shit. And I won't say rotary engines either. Is no more rotaries. But I won't say that's another reason, because honestly, the rotary engine peaked with the FD-RX-7. Let's be honest. I don't think Mazda could ever try that again, but I'm really concerned if Mazda will ever try to take a crack at rotaries again. There's been rumors and talks for years and years and years that we're going to bring back the rotary. We're going to make a RX-9. Oh boy. But they never do. And I'm really worried that, you know, there might come a time where legislation will prevent Mazda from ever trying to do the rotary again. I mean, they have it as a range extender in one of their friggin' SUV things, but that's it. I'm concerned about Mazda's future, but their inline 6 developments and their attempts to go up market and be more German is definitely promising, along with their other crazy engine tech that nobody talks about, such as their Skyactiv technology, which allows their regular gasoline engines to have, like, diesel-like compression ratios, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and of course, a bunch of other stuff. Intergalactic Bin Man made a great video on Mazda, especially their crazy stuff they tried doing in the 90s. So I'll put Mazda's fall off again in D tier. Now, Dodge! Do I need to say it? I mean, they killed two of their awesome, crazy cool muscle cars, and now only sell the Durango, which is the last vehicle I believe you can still get with a V8, let alone like a Hellcat, because I think they still make the Hellcat Durango. And I will say the twin-turbo inline 6 is a very interesting idea. I mean, a lot of people are hyping it up as the American 2JZ, because it's got 2 turbos, but we'll see what happens. But with Dodge products, I wouldn't keep your hopes up. But I mean, with the stuff people have been able to do with Hellcat motors, it could work. And I will say, the styling on the new Charger is, I think it's sexy as shit. I think it's amazing. But obviously, the elephant in the room of the electric powertrain, which they did discontinue, haha, we won. No more electric Dodge Charger, because who wants an electric muscle car? So, in the rumors that they're going to bring back V8s and maybe even put one in this next-gen Charger, who knows? Maybe Dodge will get better. But for now, unless Stellantis doesn't crumble under its own weight, which might happen, you never know, it probably will, we're going to put Dodge in A tier fall off. Because, I don't know, before I get on to my final thoughts in this video, I would like to just say to my British viewers, if there's anyone from Britain watching, Stellantis to me is like a modern-day British Leyland. A company that bought out so many companies and spread itself so thin, it collapsed under its own weight and sold overpriced, you know, poor build quality things and just fell apart, on top of the fact that all the brands it bought up were once competing with each other, but then are now competing with themselves within the same company, which we're kind of seeing with Stellantis. But anyway, I have been Dita. Let me know in the comments if my takes are stupid or if I should have included more brands here, and I will see you in the next one.